this land of ours and fill a sportsman's dreams. Enjoy what nature holds for us, her bounty never ends. Getting back to basics with the practical sportsman. It's always an adventure, no matter where we go. From a favorite hunting spot to the hottest fishing hole. Outdoor life we all can share with family and friends. We'll do it all together with a practical sportsman. We'll do it all together with a practical sportsman.
Hi there, come on in. It's Thursday night, June 5th, 2003. Fred was shooting sporting clays in Bark River last weekend, and he did better than average.
Yes, I did. The list of people who beat me is shorter than usual. I will list that on next week's show. But on this show, we have installment number 6 from the Delta waterfowl documentary on the need to control predators if we want more game birds. Then we'll get down to the nitty-gritty on when and how these predators need to be controlled and the problem of political correctness when it comes to doing what has to be done.
I'll have a rundown of the current Michigan outdoor news, so stay tuned. I'm Zachary Trost.
And I'm Fred Trost with a half hour of news and information for the practical sportsman. We've been running a series from a documentary produced by Delta Waterfowl on predators, the revolutionary idea of controlling predators so other types of game will be more abundant. This idea wasn't revolutionary 50 years ago because trapping was a big business then that helped keep predators under control. We even had bounties to reduce the populations of predators. But today, many predators are protected, and we wonder what happened to the pheasants and ducks and other small game. Well, we have 2 more episodes of the Predator documentary to show you, and here is segment number 6 on the Delta Waterfowl Predator Control Project.
In 1999, the Fish and Wildlife Service took a major step toward large-scale predator control when it entered into a 3-year management agreement with Delta Waterfowl. Delta hired a trapper to remove predators from a 36-square-mile block of land near Cando, North Dakota, smack in the heart of the prairie pothole region. Hollivet says the results were staggering.
The first year of the study, we hired a trapper in conjunction with Delta Waterfowl, trapped a 36-square-mile area that included many Fish and Wildlife Service properties, and did nesting studies to find out what was happening. To our amazement, we found very, very good densities of birds, well over a nest per acre, and also found that our Mayfield success was averaging at about 88%, which is really off-the-wall type stuff. Phenomenal production over a large landscape, so we probably produced many, many birds in that landscape that we probably couldn't have done without the additional tool of predator management.
Looks like you got a raccoon in this one.
Yep, that doesn't surprise me any.
So you're trapping more raccoon this year?
Yeah, that seems to be the dominant predator this year is the raccoon. Some years it's skunks, some years it's fox, and this year it's been more raccoons.
Well, you've been trapping for over 30 years in this area. Have you seen any changes in the raccoon population?
Well, growing up back in the 60s, our primary predator was fox. It was rare to see a coon or to get one, but now during the late 70s, 80s, and 90s, the coons are abundant on the prairies.
You know, that's really an indication of what's happened on the prairies for several predators. We never used to have raccoon in the prairie region. Their numbers have really taken off because now there's more food through crops available to them. There's more denning sites through abandoned buildings and machinery. And we've lost the larger predators like the grizzly bear and the prairie wolf and the coyote that used to keep their control of the population under check, and now that's been lost. So we see their numbers dramatically increase these last several years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I'm done here.
So how many coons have you actually taken off of the block?
Roughly 50% of the predators I've trapped this year have been raccoons.
Fuck, a hen just flushed over there. She must have a nest. Let's go take a look. It was a hen mallard.
That's kind of funny. She sat there the whole time we were taking that coon out of the trap.
Well, I'm sure she was pretty far along in incubation, and they sit tighter when they're closer to hatching. Here it is, here. 10 eggs. It looks like from the down they're quite a ways along in incubation.
Yeah, you know, Lloyd, I flush a lot of hens 40 to 50 feet from my traps.
You know, that's not surprising because we've got many areas in the prairies where there's only small parcels of fragmented habitat left for these waterfowl to nest in, which is the same areas that predators are going to use.
Yeah, in this area where we have large blocks of CRP, it's not as much a problem, but I've seen areas where the intensive farming has narrowed down these corridors where you have road ditches, fence lines, and the ducks have to nest in them. Well, the predators naturally travel them corridors, and it's a major problem for the ducks.
I'm going to cover up this nest, Buck, and let's go check another trap.
Okay. This here, Lloyd, is the south boundary of the block that I'm trapping, and that seems to be the majority of the predators now that I'm catching are coming in on the boundaries.
Well, why is it that you're taking more predators in this area than other parts of the block?
Well, once we get the inside of the block thinned down with predators, it seems we create a void, and the predators from the outside are moving in. And how they know that, I don't know, but it's migration, I guess.
Well, it makes sense that there'd be more along the edge after the ones on the inside have been taken out.
I've got a trap up here. We'll check that out. No, there's nothing in this trap, Lloyd.
Well, Buck, what about trapping in the fall when furs might have more value? Would there be more predators in the spring that would filter back into these areas when the waterfowl are nesting at that time?
That's what I've been seeing. For instance, in '94, I removed 118 coon from a designated block. In the following spring, I trapped the same block. I removed 98 raccoons. So that tells you right there, they moved back in.
So if we want to protect these areas against predators for increasing waterfowl recruitment, we're going to have to look at trapping these predators during the breeding season.
That's right.
Too bad you can't do something about trapping these mosquitoes.
The so-called animal rights movement is one reason predator numbers have exploded, as it became politically incorrect to wear animal skins, fur prices tumbled, discouraging trappers and hunters from harvesting fur-bearing animals. And will the general public accept a program that results in killing more predators for the sake of raising more ducks?
It's just another aspect of management. Do you want ducks or do you want raccoons? Now somebody might say, well, let's just let nature take its course. Well, that's fine, but we haven't been letting nature take its course for a very long time.
Delta Waterfowl wants to make sure we're doing the right thing with our waterfowl management dollars, and we want to make sure that we're basing our management on biology and not on politics.
Dr. Tom Hutchins of Bismarck, North Dakota, serves on the board of directors for Delta Waterfowl and Ducks Unlimited. Dr. Hutchins is a central North Dakota conservationist who has strong feelings about predator management.
You know, Lloyd, as you alluded to before, the thing that probably worries me the most is, do you think people will understand and support predator control?
Well, I think, Tom, it's a situation where this is a man-caused problem. It's an altered environment that we live in now because of all the changes that man has brought to the prairies. So it's going to require man's intervention to bring the situation with these high numbers of predators and new predators on the prairie back into a balance, back to more within the carrying capacity for their populations.
You know, Lloyd, in the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen an outbreak of mange in the fox. Does that give us any insight into their numbers?
Tom, that is an excellent point, because that is exactly what's happening with a lot of these predator populations when their numbers get so high. It's Mother Nature's way of stepping in and taking what turns out to be very drastic action. But the numbers are out of balance. They're too high, and animals end up getting disease. As you mentioned, mange and fox. There's distemper in raccoons. There's an increased incidence of rabies in skunks, for example. So those are very, tough ways to deal with an overpopulation problem the way Mother Nature does. And that's what we're talking about, is bringing those numbers back to a balance to within the carrying capacity of the landscape.
I tell you, Lloyd, over the last 5 to 6 years, we've seen a tremendous difference in what appears to be nest success because we do spring trap. And when we first started spring trapping, we were getting 150, 160 predators. And now we get 80, 85. It's an ongoing job, but it has really paid dividends as far as we're concerned.
The dividends of predator control were more ducks than ever, from nesting success rates under 10% to rates over 50%. While it may be politically incorrect to control predators, it's biologically necessary. The final installment of the Delta waterfowl predator story will air in 2 weeks. This is a brown trout caught by Gary Moon from Mesick, Lake Michigan in June, 21, almost 22 pounder.
Yes, sir.
That's a big boy. So you fish the Great Lakes a lot?
Not really. Thundering Aspens is a friend of ours that took us out, and we went out, and it was a bad day.
What do you mean?
It was fog. You couldn't. We forgot the GPS, and we went with compass only. And there was more guys going in than there was going out.
But that didn't stop you.
No, it didn't. When we got him on, we were about 15 feet from an Indian gill net. We didn't know if we were on the right side or the wrong side. If we were on the wrong side, we lose everything. But we were on the right side.
Now that is one of those exciting memories.
Yes, it is.
That make that trip very unusual.
Yes, it is.
And you made it out with this 22-pound brown trout. Gary Moon, congratulations. How about that day in the fog? Way to go.
Well, another episode of The Practical Sportsman comes to a close, but the fishing report again this week was good, so get out there if you can. It's a great place to be, and we'll see you right here next week.